All right, I've been running my marketing agency for over 6 years. And as much as I hate to admit this, yes, I've had to refund people. I've had 1-star reviews. I've had people charge me back, dispute me, think I'm the worst person on the earth. But as a result of going through all those painful experiences, I've learned exactly what to do and exactly what not to do. And as a result, well, I now have over 200 verified case studies. I have clients telling me every single day that I've changed their life and that Catalyst is the best thing ever. We're regularly flooding our review page with 5-star reviews, and I make the majority of my money in back-end recurring retainers, upsells, and just keeping clients happy that love me and are asking me to pay me more money. I did this by flipping on its head what is known as traditional service delivery, and by leveraging 24 key steps that I'm going to walk you guys through inside of this video that we do to service our clients. Before implementing these 24 things, we had all the negative things that I shared about with you earlier, but since then, servicing clients has been way easier. So I'm going to share my screen. I have this entire thing mapped out for you so you guys can just take exactly what I've done and rebuild it into your own business exactly as you do. And if you do it, I guarantee you, your stress will dramatically drop and your revenue will also increase because you won't have to keep going to sign new clients to make more money. So let me share my screen and we'll jump straight into this. Okay, so here's the entire roadmap of what we do from the sales call to the ongoing management of servicing the client. And we're going to dive down into each of the 24 steps here. But the first thing that I want to say is that the majority of this and the majority of what we're going to be talking about today in this video is actually what happens in the first 7 days, because the first 7 days is by far the most important part of your entire service delivery. And the reason being is because they just paid you. They just trusted you. It's when the client's emotions are at the highest and when they're most importantly judging you on that first impression. If you set a good first impression, it becomes a lot easier and you actually get grace when it comes to dealing with the clients, because at the end of the day, you are human, your clients are humans. Humans are going to make mistakes. There are going to be things that are going to go wrong with your service delivery. But if you have a really good first impression, when something goes wrong in week 4, inevitably, right, your clients are going to understand that you are human as well. You made a quick mistake, no big deal. You guys are awesome. However, if you screw up that first impression and they think you suck from the get-go, then you screw up again in week 3, well, your clients are churning, they're hating you, rebills are impossible, all that good stuff. Okay, let's jump into the first big thing that happens, which is actually at the end of the sales call. Okay, so after the contract signed and payment is collected, do not rely on automated welcome emails. Okay, we want to make it the closer's responsibility to ensure smooth access to the delivery team's communication channel. When you rely on these automated emails, guess what happens? Sometimes they don't deliver. Sometimes the email gets sent to the wrong address. Sometimes the email gets sent in spam. And most importantly, sometimes your client sits there having just paid you 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever $1,000 that you're charging, and then hasn't heard anything from you. Didn't get the email, is wondering why this isn't smooth, and most importantly, is getting a bad first impression, right? So because this is so extremely important, we make it the closer's responsibility, so we guarantee that we never have any of those things happen to us. So what happens is the closer, in our case, will invite the client to Slack and then introduce them to the delivery team. So obviously they're closing, typically during work hours, right? And so the closer will then be like, hey, here is your Slack invite. And then what the closer will do is they'll make sure that everybody in delivery, or at least one person from the delivery, jumps into that Slack channel and introduces themselves. So that handoff, the baton has successfully been passed, and your client spends no time whatsoever with no communication from the team. Now, the next thing, and this is also extremely important, is the closer shares the onboarding specialist's calendar and books the onboarding call. Okay, so we want to always book a meeting from a meeting. We never want to leave the client in no man's land and waiting to hear from the team. They should always know when their next meeting is scheduled and what to do if they need to reschedule. We don't want to, have the client pay and like the closer jumps off the call and be like, oh yeah, the delivery team will reach out to you. It might be an hour, it might be 3 hours. There might be a delay with the delivery team and it might take longer than expected. And then guess what happens? A bad first impression. We can completely avoid this by just giving the closer the delivery onboarding specialist's Calendly link and then being like, awesome, here is the onboarding times. Let's book your onboarding call in right now for sometime in the next 24 hours. Perfect. Now, client is never in no man's land. They know exactly when their next meeting is. Now, the next thing is to keep them busy and to keep them working. We typically will assign 1 to 3 simple pre-onboarding call action items. Okay. Now, do not assign anything complicated at this stage. It should be easy, simple, and require little to no brain power from clients. You want to make them think, I will be able to do my part. Okay. So here's some examples example of some good action items. Hey, invite the rest of your team to Slack. Here's the invite link. Send this to the rest of your team and we'll get your closers. We'll get whoever else in this Slack channel too. Or hey, here, watch XYZ video. Okay. Now I'll give you a bad action item example. And I see so many agencies screw up with this and so many agencies do this. Oh, follow this Word doc to grant us access to your ad account. Now you might be thinking, why is that a bad thing? Well, if you have any experience running an agency and you've signed any clients before, you know that like 50% of clients have trouble giving you access to their ad account, right? It's confusing. They don't know where the login is. They never logged into their ad account, whatever the case may be, right? Now, the thing is, well, the client is at the most malleable phase of like they're forming their impression of you. If they're struggling to give you access to their ad account and they're running into tech problems, they have to contact Facebook support or anything like that happens, immediately they're thinking, this is complicated. This is hard. This is not as easy as the closer said it was going to be. I'm getting frustrated already. And what is happening in that case? You are getting a bad first impression. So we want to avoid that. Yes, we are going to obviously have them do that, but we're going to do that after we've been able to form this initial first impression with them. Okay, so the next thing that we do here is to have the sales call notes summarized using AI and then sent to the onboarding specialist. Okay, so the notes that we want to include about the client are: what is the biggest challenge? What have they tried before? What is the primary goal? And what are the past failures? Okay, then we want to get into the actual having that kickoff call. Okay, so in the beginning of the kickoff call, you can just intro and set agenda for onboarding call. And then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to review notes from the sales team. Okay, now here's some important key stuff. We want to clarify the information. We do not want to ask for it. And after clarifying, we always want to follow up with, is there anything else? And we want to add notes to the file. If you ever dealt with like your bank and you've had to talk to somebody and you've given them all the verification code and you verified who you are and like all this kind of stuff, and then they escalate you to somebody else, and then when you talk to that somebody else, you have to go through the same verification process. It makes you mad, it's annoying, and it sucks. And your clients feel the exact same way when they just had an exhausting hour-and-a-half long sales call with your closer, only to be fed to the delivery team and then having to go through all and answer all the same questions. Your clients don't want to do that. It makes them think that the team isn't communicating with each other. They don't know their shit. They don't know the client. Instead, get those notes. And instead of being like, so what's your biggest challenge? Be like, hey, so I see that your biggest challenge is generating enough consistent leads to fill up your sales team calendar. Is there any other challenges that you're facing? That's how the first part of the onboarding call should be approached. Okay. Now, what I'm also going to do, I'll go through these in notes and then I'll actually share with you the kickoff call script. So next thing here is we want to demo your service, right? So have clients share their screen. That's another tip. I found that clients will learn and understand things and remember things better if you have them share their screen and then you have them click the buttons on their own computer versus if you just show them on your screen, right? Because, they just like the brain works in that way where they won't remember it as well unless they're doing it themselves, right? So have them share their screen, walk them through how to use your CRM, your Slack, etc. Most important thing here, confirm that they actually understand each feature before they advance. Don't just be like, okay, yeah, and that's the CRM, and yeah, this is Slack. Be like, okay, this is the CRM. Does this make sense to you? Do you have any questions about the CRM? And then can you show me XYZ just to make sure that you 100% understand it? Good, awesome. Let's move on to Slack. Okay. Next thing, we set expectations. Okay, so this is all I did for this, right? So all I did for this was I analyzed the traits of my top 20% of clients, and then I just listed out and I ran new clients through the 5 things that our best clients do, and I got them to commit to each one, right? So here, and this is on our onboarding process as well, I know that the clients that succeed with us the most, they move quickly, they understand the expectations, they over communicate, they participate in the inner circle, and they track their data. And so anytime I have a new client, I'm being like statistically, if you do these 5 things, you are like way more likely to succeed than if you don't. So will you do these 5 things? Awesome. And if you aren't doing one of these 5 things and you come to me that you're complaining, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to be like, you're not doing one of these 5 things. I told you that if you do these 5 things, you would succeed, and you're not doing them. Okay, so don't complain to me, complain about yourself. Then the next thing I will do is I will set next steps. Okay. So next steps will typically what we'll do for this, and I'll show you guys real examples of what this looks like here at our business, but we build an onboarding course with video and written instructions, and course should include the following: how to give us access to add email accounts, how to send us content, onboarding forms, ICP information, and whatever else is required. And then the last thing, similar to after the sales call, we pull up the client strategy calendar and book strategy call from the meeting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you guys the kickoff call script here. So like I said, first thing that we do is we clarify why they're here after a quick intro. Okay, then these are the notes that get sent into Slack when we have a new client that gets closed, so we can exactly see, and the onboarding specialist can see all the past information. Right now, here's another thing too, which is like, this is why it's so simple, so important to go through this phase. Okay. You also want to reset expectations with anything that they've tried in the past, or generally speaking about the business, if the sales team didn't do that exactly. This is actually kind of a funny thing here that happened on this call. It was a real life example. I actually took this onboarding call. Okay. So I looked at this individual and they were like engaged in questionable mentorship. They spent 1K, right? Like they tried running ads before in the past. And I was like, okay, turned out to be a scam, like all that kind of stuff. Like interesting, right? Like interesting, right? Like, was it actually, when a client says the last guy that they worked with is a scam, it's more of a red flag on the client than actually the person that they were working with in the past, right? So I was very skeptical when they were bringing this up, right? Now, one of the things that they talked about on this call was that they had ran ads in the past and they shut the ads off because it didn't work. And I was like, interesting. Why didn't it work? They were like, because it was too expensive. And I was like, interesting. What do you mean by that? And then they were like, oh, well, our cost per lead was like $70 to $80. And I was like, okay, how many calls did you book? And they were like 10, or it was like 5 or 10 calls or something like that. I was like, okay, how much did you spend on ads? They're like $1,500. And I was like, did you close any clients? They're like, yeah, we closed 2. And I was like, oh, how much did you make? 10K. I was like, okay, so you spent $1,500, you made back 10K, but then you shut ads off because your cost per lead was too high. And then they started laughing. And I was like, what are you guys doing? Because they were of the impression that the coach or the mentor that they worked with in the past told them that their cost per lead should be around $20. So they were optimizing their ads based on the wrong metric, in which they shut it off. Which, if I didn't address this on the onboarding call, guess what would have happened? We would have turned on ads for them. We would have gotten $30, $40, $50, $60, $70 cost per lead, because the only thing that we optimize for here is how much does it cost to acquire a customer and how much does that customer make? And then they would have been like, oh, these guys suck. I just paid them all their money. I was running better ads off on myself. This doesn't work, etc. But instead, we reset that expectation, and they went from doing like 10K a month to, I'll show a screenshot right here. They did almost 10K in just a single week last week. Okay. But none of that would have happened if I didn't address this expectation early on in the onboarding process. Okay. So then if we continue to scroll down, we will go through and I will demonstrate our service, where I'll go through the team, I'll go through the Slack, I'll go through the team calendar, I'll go through the inner circles that we have and all that good stuff. Then I hammer in the keys to success. Then I set that 7-day action item and I introduce them to the onboarding course, which I will show you right now. Here are the next steps that we set with our clients here at Catalyst, right? So it was titled your first 7 days of Catalyst, and it's super simple and possible to understand. Action item number 1, complete your offer worksheet. These are literally just some ChatGPT prompts that we have our clients copy paste and then fill in the blanks with their ICP, send that information to us so then we can go and build them their offer for them, right? Then we have a few videos that we want them to watch, a few quizzes to take that they make sure they understand the videos. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into these videos because these videos have been one of the highest leverage things that we've made for the business in recent times. And then lastly, just some onboarding and processes and whatnot that they follow. This is the the cold email onboarding process and the ads onboarding process as well that they can follow, that they do after the kickoff call. Okay. So then after we've set that kickoff call, again, like I said earlier, we pull up client strategy to book a meeting from a meeting. Okay. Here's something that I wanted to make a separate point about, because it is so important and it's been one of the highest leverage things that we've done. You definitely need to add this to your service delivery, because what we realize is like ads and cold email, they work 100% of the time, right? Because fundamentally, if you sell a product or a service that solves a problem, the people that have that problem will exist on the internet. And so then you can contact them and offer to solve that problem via ads. Now, it might be an instant book a call, it might be a DM funnel. Like there's a bunch of different ways to convert those people. But fundamentally, if people exist with your problem, those people are going to be on Instagram, and then you can reach them through ads and whatnot, and therefore ads will always work. However, the reason why people think that ads don't work is just because they quit before they actually figured it out, right? And the reason why people work with companies like Catalyst isn't because they're all of a sudden going to become overnight millionaires. No, it's because if they want to scale their business on their own, it might take them 10 to 15 tries to crack the code on paid ads that can add an extra few $100,000 to their business every single year. If they do it with Catalyst, because we have significant amounts of experience, because we have significant amounts of data, because we're actively managing $500 to $1 million a month on ads, we're going to get it right in 1 to 3 tries. what I did here is I looked at, and we take these feedback forms, and we'll get into that later. But every single Friday we send out a feedback form where our clients can, give us feedback on how they like what we're doing for them, right? And then what we do is we listed out every single reason why clients complain, right? And then we take all the complaints that were just basically due to them either not understanding expectations, not understanding our process, or not understanding what it looks like to scale with ads, email, etc. And then what we did is we made a video detailing each law, right? And then after that, we created a quiz that clients need to score 100% on before launching, right? And then what happens is this ensures that client understands the expectations, the process, and they will dramatically reduce the complaints. Like the complaints will dramatically reduce. And then it takes the pressure off of your team, and then your team is actually able to execute on the strategies that will grow the business instead of trying to take shortcuts because you have psycho clients breathing down your neck. And so here's an example of the 12 laws of ads that we have here at Catalyst. First one right here, we have the testing versus scaling phase, right? We walk through what the testing phase looks like versus what the scaling phases looks like. And we talk about how the first $3,000 to $5,000 that we're going to spend on ads, it's not to make 10 grand, make 50 grand back. That's not the point of that. It's to find winning ads, and it's to cut out the losing ads, right? And then from there, and in that, we're going to see high volatility. We're going to see a high cost per call, low cost per call. The quality is going to increase the quality is going to be all over the place because it doesn't have much data and the ads are still in learning phase. But the thing is that when clients know and see this and understand this, right? When we've spent $500 on ads, they're not going to come to us barking about lead quality because they know that we're still in the testing phase. Okay. And then it allows us to actually execute the process that's going to help people succeed. This is another one, an ad account case study, right? Where I talk about how we launched a campaign, and 7 days in, we were down $10,000. 60 days later, we were profiting $83,000. And the only thing that we did is we just let it and waited for our sales cycle and our pixel to catch up, right? If people don't understand this and they don't see this case study, they'll freak out if they're down $5,000, right? And they forget that they have a 3-week-long sales process and they've been running ads for a week. That's why you have to set these proper expectations. Next thing, we can't measure in time. We have to measure in spend, right? We've had clients that have complained after they're spending $20 a day, and I'm like, you've spent $280 with an average cost to acquire of $1,000. So you gotta, like, if you want results to happen fast, you have to spend more money. Next thing, why you have to give us feedback. Third thing, right? You came here to grow. Growth is uncomfortable. First thing, your first offer isn't a magic wand, right? Next thing, you will get low quality leads. Here at Catalyst, only 20% of leads that come through are qualified, but yet we're still clearing $200,000 to $300,000 a month. And the reason being is because we just put in enough volume so it justifies it. But if you only get 5 leads because you're not spending any money on ads and 3 of them are unqualified, it's like, oh my God, all I'm getting is unqualified leads. But if you get 100 leads and 80 of them are qualified, you still have 20 qualified leads to convert, and you're laughing. You think this is the best thing ever. Next time, lifetime value to cost of acquisition is the only metric that matters. Stop trying to spend $1,000 and make 10 grand back. Law number 9, your show up rate will suck. This is a great one, because if you have qualified people booking calls with you and they're not showing up, you think it's an advertising problem? You think it's because if the ad had different text on it, or if it was a different color, they magically would have shown up to the call? No, because you're doing a shit job at the setting process, right? And so follow the show rate optimization SOP. The show rate issue is not an advertising problem, right? But these were all the complaints that we were getting over the time, right? And now once we have these expectations, and that's why, as you can see, this is why we have a quiz that follows up with this to make sure that they understand all of these laws, because if they understand all of these laws, they get results, because ads work 100% of the time, right? Another one, if you're not spending at least $1,500 a day, like, it'll appear inconsistent. If this is your first time running ads, you probably suck at closing cold traffic, and one winning campaign will far outweigh all losing campaigns. So as you can see, after they go through this detailed video, we then have them go through a paid ads quiz where they answer all the questions to make sure that they fully understand that. So moving on to the next thing, right? In the next 24 to 48 hours, the clients will complete those onboarding steps, right? And we also want to have a CSM touch point to ensure, that they're going through the onboarding course okay, and offer personalized support for any issues, right? Now, the thing is the first touch point should be smooth and positive. It sets the tone. We've already talked about this earlier as to why we're doing that. Next thing here, strategy call. So the client strategy, in this case, in my business, it's me, myself, will host offer and or strategy call, right? That's when we'll come up with the offer, the angle, the marketing angle that we're going to take, all that good stuff. Offer is going to be the most important part. It's going to be the make or break a lot of time as to how successful your advertising campaigns will be. You should get really good at making offers and then make all of your offers for your clients. If you just run the same copy paste offer as everybody else in their industry, it's going to be very hard for you to get results. So I just host a call with them based on the information that they submit to me in this process when they send over like those ICP or those AI prompts that I shared with you guys earlier. And then from there, I finalize their strategy and I send that to delivery team, right? And then now that the delivery team, they have their offer, they have the marketing angles that we're going to take, right? The last thing I will do, similar to after the sales call, is I will book their kickoff call with our marketer from that call, right? And I'll book it for about 72 hours out. And in that meantime, the marketer will build the client funnels, the ads, the CRM, etc. Right? Now, the thing is that they should always be built by following detailed SOPs and templates while just inserting the offer and ICP data that was discussed on the strategy call, right? This is going to dramatically reduce the time it takes. And it's as a result, you're going to be able to get these quick turnaround times. And the most important part of your marketing is going to be the overall strategy and offer that you take. So it doesn't have to be built from scratch. Then you're going to host that ads kickoff call. And on those ads kickoff calls, the most important thing, you're going to review all the assets. You're going to review their funnel. You're going to review their landing page. You're going to review their ad copy, any CRM updates that you've made for them, all that kind of stuff. But most importantly, you're always going to explain the why behind everything that you've done. A lot of times your clients will be like, oh, like I don't really like that ad. But if you're like, we made this ad because this is what it triggers, this is the result it gets, and we've also ran this for 6 other clients and these are the results that they've gotten, your client's going to shut the fuck up and they're going to let you run the ad. And the reason that they paid you is because you're better at advertising than them. So if you listen to the client, right, you're probably not going to be able to get results and then they're going to blame you. So instead, you always need to explain the why behind what you do for them. So not only do they listen to you and do they let you do it, they're actually sold. You have to sell them on the work that you've done and why it's going to be better than if they were to do it on their own. Next thing that we do is with a marketer, we'll always confirm expectations. So a quick run through of that X laws to succeed with ads videos. Then we will launch the ads. Okay. After the ads have been launched, few key things for ongoing management. Number one, 3 times a week, proactive client messaging. Do not wait for clients to come to you. Regularly be checking out their account. Hey, notice that XYZ happened in your account. This is what we're going to be doing. Show that you are bringing their problems to them. Do not wait for the clients to bring the problems to you. Next thing, 4 times daily response time. So everybody on our delivery team, they have 4 blocks in the day where they are dedicated response times, right? If they're not in those response times, their job is to do the actual work that's going to get the client results, right? But during those response times, they go through, they clear out their Slack, they clear out their email inbox, they respond to everybody who has messaged them, right? And what happens is that clients are going to feel at ease when they know when they're going to get their next response, right? Otherwise, they text you, and if they don't know when they're going to get a response, an hour might go by and they might start to freak out, being like, why aren't you responding to me, right? But if they know that they're going to get a response at 11:30 because that's the next response time, they will be at ease. Next thing we do is weekly feedback forms. Couple simple questions. Are you happy? If no or yes, why? And what is your biggest challenge right now? We take all that information, we sync as a team. I get involved in that process. I fix any bottlenecks, and then we roll those out for clients. We roll out new split tests. And the last thing here, 3 times, this is supposed to be 3 times weekly optimization blocks. Okay. So what this looks like, simple. We track all of our clients' data. We identify the biggest bottleneck in their campaigns. We run a split test, and then we just repeat that. And if you just do that over and over and over again, and your clients understand these expectations, and you had a good onboarding process, so they have a great first impression, so you have a little bit of lenience when inevitably things are going to go wrong, you will succeed with your clients because ads always work. And the only reason why they don't work is because you quit before you found the winning combination. But if you do all these things, your clients will give you the space to actually take the time until you find that winning combination. And then you'll find in a position like we are here where we have over 200 case studies and more proof than we know what to do with. I literally don't even know how to post and promote proof anymore because it's just endless. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you guys got value out of it. If you're struggling with getting clients in the first place, watch this one. And other than that, if you have any comments about this, leave a question below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.